Hello, everybody. Welcome to Premier League score predictions for round 26 with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and the excellent Mikey Pentti-Smith. And Mikey, you won last week. It wasn't great. Bit of snail racing again. 6-4 to you. And what did it is Arsenal playing a midfielder up front because you had Leicester 0, Arsenal 2. So that second goal took you over the top, which means this is problematic. You're 11-7 up on the weekly, so you could have this done by Easter, unfortunately for me. It's a bit closer in the aggregate, 128 to 120. How you doing, matey?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a little bit attritional recently, hasn't it? No huge scores from us, but yeah, I'm getting it done at the business end of the season. Well, this isn't actually we're not in the business end of the season yet, are we? We're still sort of in the middle third.
Looking at that Liverpool Wolves game, that had we're in a title race and it's a struggle to put one foot in front of the other feel. But there you go. Get involved as ever, everybody, in the comments. You can copy and paste all the fixtures from the description down there and get your predictions in. Give yourself 1 point for a correct outcome, home, away, or draw. 3 points for a correct scoreline like Mikey got for Leicester 0, Arsenal 2. Play for a bonus. If your prediction has 5 or more goals and you get it correct, you're going to get 4 points. Mikey, Friday night football, Leicester versus Brentford. You're up first.
Yeah, Leicester, you mentioned I got that one bob on. I expected them to be competitive in that game, and they were. They played at a reasonably good intensity against Arsenal, but were still opened up a couple of times in the second half. And I don't think the scoreline flattered Arsenal in the end. They lost James Justin to an injury late in the first half, and he'll be missing for the visit of Brentford. We always talk about Brentford as being a home team, don't we, Ben? And that was because they were ridiculously good at home at the start of the season and not very good away from home. However, in recent weeks, that sort of flipped around a little bit. They've taken 10 points from the last 4 away games. They've scored 8 and only conceded 1. So I'm going to back Brentford to win this one at the King Power by a narrow margin, 2-1.
I feel like doubling you up, Mikey, but I also feel like playing tactically. And I wonder if Leicester could draw. Is that feasible? Although they're on a horrendous run, Leicester. There's just that victory against Spurs that pokes out and then nothing else. So, no, maybe if I'm going to play tactically, maybe now is not the place. I'll give Brentford a clean sheet then. Leicester 0, Brentford 1. Which puts me up first for Everton versus Manchester United, where you'd have to really fancy Everton in this one. They're on fantastic form, shooting up the table. They'll probably be in the European conversation if this carries on for another 5 games. David Moyes just knows that club, knows what he's doing. Manchester United just very incompetent, I think, is the only way. It just doesn't work at all. And Mikey, you get that point where it gets psychological, where you have good players in a system that should work with a good manager, but not work. I think we've seen that at our own club at time to time, haven't we? So I will be back in Everton then. Let's see if I can read your reaction. Do I back them by 1 or by 2? By 1. Both teams to score. Everton 2, Man United 1.
Okay, yeah, that's a scribble for me, Ben. I think that's a likely outcome. But that would have meant that I was going for back-to-back 2-1 home wins, which is a little bit weak, isn't it? So I'm going to switch it to Everton 2, Manchester United 0. 13 points out of 15 Everton last few games. Goodison back to its best. It's a real weapon when things are going well for Everton, which they are at the moment. And they're already above Manchester United, which is crazy. It felt like they were in a relegation scrap with us, Ipswich, not so long ago. But yeah, United, no Amad Diallo. He got injured ahead of the game at the weekend, and no Kobbie Mainoo either. Not much to get excited about for them at the moment. So yeah, I can see them not scoring in this one. 2-0 Everton.
Bournemouth versus Wolves, Mikey.
Yeah, Bournemouth have gone above Chelsea. This is easily the best season in their entire history, but it might not be the favourite season. Maybe a promotion season or 2 from a few years ago might have struck more of a chord with some more traditional Bournemouth fans, but they're in the European picture very much at the moment. And if Semenyo and Kluivert don't hurt you, Ouattara and Christie do, and or Brooks. There's so many. They've got lots of injuries.
Players coming back now.
Yeah, they're starting to get players back, but some of the players that have stepped in recent weeks, Howson at centre-back has just been an absolute revelation alongside Zabarnyi. So, yeah, just a really well-coached team. I never thought I'd say this. I quite like Bournemouth at the moment.
Me too.
And I would especially like them to win this game against Wolves, who were, to be fair to them, very competitive against Liverpool. Gave them a really good game. Cunha scored an excellent goal. He can do that out of nothing. He's the danger man for them, of course. How many times have we said that this season? So I'm backing them to score here. I'm going for a little bit of a crazy one. I'm going for Bournemouth 4, Wolves 2.
Absolutely tremendous. I was going to go down the same route of you've kind of got to back Bournemouth, but where Cunha is concerned, you've got to give Wolves a goal at least, haven't you? So they're always quite goaly, aren't they? Let's go Bournemouth 3, Wolves 1, and I'll just echo everything you've said. I was going to try and set it up Bournemouth for like the Leyton Orient of the Premier League when we do the League One. The team just surprising everybody and flying up towards the top of the table. It's Arsenal versus West Ham. West Ham are struggling, aren't they? They just had that one win that wasn't the most convincing, was it, against Fulham? And other than that, they've only scored 1 point. So I think so. With that, only 1 point other with Graham Potter in the dugout. I think I've got my timelines right. I take all your points. I'm sure you'll go into more detail on Arsenal. I know you mentioned them in the Leicester game. It is a problem, isn't it? Playing a midfielder up front and taking 81 minutes to score against a team who's frankly 19th in the table. So I reckon it'll be tight, but they've got too much quality, mate, haven't they? Arsenal 1, West Ham 0.
Yeah, I'm not a million miles away from you there, Ben. This is, of course, the Ian Wright and Jack Wilshere derby. Many other players that played
Nigel
for both of these clubs. Nigel Winterburn, yeah, that's a nice one as well from the 90s. Yeah, I'm going Arsenal 2, West Ham 0. Was Marino coming off the bench and scoring? Is that a flash in the pan, or is that the sort of crazy thing that happens in a title-winning season, Ben? I'm not
sure. Warhurst.
Not sure just yet. Yeah, very nice. But yeah, being solid, which Arsenal generally are, should be enough against this West Ham team.
You're up for a Roy the Boy Hodgson derby, Fulham versus Crystal Palace.
Yes, and I think I probably would be going for Fulham, but because my lovely wife, who recently gave birth to my son, is going to this game, her first game back, I'm going to back Palace to get a point out of this one. They were a little bit unfortunate to lose against Everton last week, ran into them at the wrong time.
Yeah, definitely.
And to be fair, on the balance of play, we're maybe a little bit unlucky to lose that one as well, although Everton were decent. But Fulham, if Adama Traore plays like he did last week, he's unplayable. I know you don't like that.
No. Don't fall into that trap. We've all been there before. I remember David Diamond saying to me from the Blue Monday podcast, "Why is he not the Ballon d'Or winner? He's got everything."
Yeah. When he turns it on, he's really, really good. But how often does he turn it on? Twice in 2 weeks, or is he a streaky player? Is he now going to have a really good month to win the Premier League Player of the Month? I'm not so sure. But what I do know is if Palace wear their yellow kit, which they might, Fulham are in trouble.
Okay, well, I missed your scoreline, Mikey. What was it?
Sorry, I went for 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. I think I'm going to back Fulham. I'm going to put my EFL alumni hat on, and with home advantage. It feels like both teams to score. I know we're only at round 26. Feels a little bit beachy as well, where they can both actually start enjoying the end of the season. These two clubs, given where they are. Although Fulham, realistically, if they can win, say, 4 games on the trot, turn 2 into 4, then everyone will be talking about Europe. And we think, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, might go down a place further with the Champions League coefficient as well. So they've got every chance of getting in. I know you said it was weak earlier, but I'm going to have another home 2-1 victory, which means, ominously, I am up first for Ipswich versus Tottenham. Ipswich won at Tottenham earlier in the season, which was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? It kind of came out of nowhere. I think it was at the end of a collection before an international break, possibly. My concern here as an Ipswich Town supporter, which is irrelevant, I should be calling this as I see it, not emotionally, but is that Spurs just now are starting to have players come back. So you wonder whether they've bottomed out and whether that win, well, they've got 2 in a row as well, haven't they? Against Manchester United, is the start of the bottom of the hill, and up they go. Maybe Ipswich can have a point here, although it's unhelpful draws, isn't it? We said on Blue Monday last week, it's all well and good having heroic draws. They have to be factored in with wins, else they don't actually do anything other than boost the morale. It's a setup rather than a finish, isn't it? But I'm going to go for the draw. Am I going to go 1-1 or 2-2? I'm going to go 1-1. Ipswich 1, Spurs 1. I don't think Ipswich can beat Spurs. And again, for all you Ipswich fans in the chat, I would bloody love to be wrong.
Yeah, and I'm on a little run here, Ben, of not backing Ipswich to win and us getting better results. I backed us to lose against Coventry in the FA Cup, and I backed us to lose at Aston Villa, and we won 1 and drew 1. I was also gonna go for 1-1. I'll change that to an entertaining 2-2 draw. I could see that happening. Are you ready for a name drop, Ben?
Always.
Yesterday, I spoke to Mr. Kieran McKenna at the Ipswich Town training ground.
The professor!
And we spoke a little bit about yesterday.
Did you touch him? Did any of his genius rub off on you when you shook his hand?
He did tap me on the shoulder on his way out.
You now have a genius shoulder as well. Amazing.
Yeah. I'm going to use that here for the 2-2. Or maybe I should just be predicting an Ipswich win. But yeah, we reflected on a result that happened 2 years on the day to yesterday when we did the interview, which was Ipswich 4, Forest Green 0, where we'd just drawn a game like we did against Aston Villa, and then we went on an 8-game winning streak, Ben.
And didn't concede any goals either.
Didn't concede goals. I think it was 9 clean sheets in a row or something crazy like that. But that's obviously not going to happen here, but maybe muscle memory of the last 2 seasons, Ipswich are capable of going on a good run. And I think a draw would be perfectly good in this one, as long as we follow it up with a win at Old Trafford, of course. That being said, Tottenham have maybe started to get it together a little bit, dare we say. James Maddison will, off the back of a goal-scoring performance against Manchester United, he had the bit between his teeth in that one because of something Roy Keane said. This time he'll have his bit between the teeth because he is an ex-Norwich City player.
And an ex-scorer of a winning goal in an East Anglian derby in this stadium. There we go. Let's move on as quickly as we can from that and talk about Southampton versus Brighton.
Yeah, I feel for Southampton fans at this stage, Ben. They're not enjoying going to games at all. They haven't got a huge amount to play for because survival isn't hugely realistic, and they're probably hoping that they'll have a new look squad in the Championship next year. They battled hard again against Bournemouth, but just way off the level required. Brighton, on the other hand, want to play Chelsea every week, back-to-back impressive wins over them. Matoma scored a fantastic goal.
What a player.
That's Matoma doing Matoma things, if we're going to use a football cliche. Lots of injuries in the Brighton squad, but more than enough to win in this one. This not South Coast derby. 3-1 Brighton, I'm going.
I wonder whether you'd go bonus point on that one. So being you've gone, kind of where I was going to go, I'll go bonus point, which really means either 4-1 or 5-2, 4-1. No, that's unfair on Southampton. Let's go Southampton 1, Brighton 4. I totally agree. And it does feel like both teams to score away win. I'll try and pip you on the goals. I think we might have had, did we have a 4-1 bonus come in at St. Mary's possibly earlier in the season? Someone correct us in the comments. But yeah, sorry, Southampton fans. We're going two-footed again. Right, I'm interested to hear what you say about Aston Villa versus Chelsea, Mikey, because Chelsea are really not in good form. Do they have Europe tomorrow? This is going out on Friday, by the way. So we're recording on Wednesday. I don't think they...
So... No, but remember Aston Villa are playing Liverpool tonight as we record.
Oh Christ!
It's a bit of a spanner in the works. I did my research on this and then it dawned on me that they've got another game tonight. So this is one to just sort of throw up in the air a little bit. Well, Villa won't have Disasi at the back because he's on loan from Chelsea, and they, as we mentioned last week, they've got lots of defenders out injured, but they've got lots of exciting attackers, decent midfield, and Marcus Rashford, who looks like he's bang up for it again.
Yeah. We have a little segment on the Championship predictions called Story Time with Sam, where we have a game in between. We have to try and figure out where we're going. So I would assume Aston Villa will lose to Liverpool, or at least they won't beat Liverpool. So I think they might beat Chelsea, which is problematic for Maresca, who we're all so impressed with. Almost derailed by losing at stupid old Ipswich, aren't they? Back in December. That's one thing Ipswich can claim some credit for in a season of only 3 victories. But I'm going to back Villa, I think. Tight, Mikey? Is it 1-0? Nah, Chelsea always score, don't they? Can't do another 3-1. Okay, they Chelsea don't always score.
Brighton. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. Just predicting a team with Cole Palmer and to not score a goal is problematic. Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 0. Go on.
Handy, because I was going for Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1.
There you go.
Teams do appear to be smartening up a little bit to Cole Palmer. I remember last year when Chelsea were really struggling.
They went 2 men on him, yeah?
Yeah. When they were really struggling last year, they went to Villa Park and got a really good result. So maybe there's something in that for Chelsea fans. But I work with a Chelsea fan who travels home and away, and he said that things are starting to get a little bit toxic amongst the fan base, which is never a good sign, is it? But yeah, I can't back Chelsea to win at the moment. So yeah, 2-1 Villa.
Right, Newcastle Forest, Mikey. Can I just ask you a question? Just give me a 1 or 2 word answer. I asked this on the Premier League check-in podcast. If you're a Nottingham Forest fan and I give you a deal that says you're definitely not getting in the Champions League, but I'm going to guarantee you're in the FA Cup final, 1 game away from winning a trophy, do you take that deal or not?
Yeah, I think you do, because isn't the FA Cup the one that's missing for Nottingham Forest?
Brian Clough never won the FA Cup. Yeah.
Sorry, that's not a quick answer, is it? But
no. I was that way.
Nottingham,
a lot of
Nottingham
Forest fans wanted the Champions League.
Yeah, and you can understand that because of the previous romance of playing in Europe, and there'll be people my age would have not have seen Forest play in Europe, but they would have heard about it all from their dads, a little bit like Ipswich. So yeah, I think they probably would go for Champions League and just forget the FA Cup. The FA Cup will still be there in a couple of years.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Newcastle Forest.
Yeah, Stuart Pearce derby, Chris Wood derby. This was the fixture that Chris Wood turned into R9 Ronaldo last season out of nowhere.
And remained R9 Ronaldo for the entirety of this season.
Yeah, so yeah, such a bizarre thing to happen away at a club where he mostly struggled at, and then he goes there with a different club where he's also struggling, and then completely rips it up. Really strange. But yeah, both of these teams may be distracted a little bit by, Newcastle are definitely distracted by the cups. Don't necessarily think Forest are, but Forest have lost 2 of their last 3, and Newcastle have had 3 defeats in 4 in the league. It doesn't feel that bad because they've been picking up good wins in the cups. But yeah, I'm expecting quite a cagey game in this one because both teams will be pretty keen to avoid another defeat. So I'm going for Newcastle 1, Forest 1.
Yeah, I don't mind that actually. If this was an EFL game, I might play a 0-0 here, but
doesn't happen much, does it?
Nah. I assume you're referring to that EFL Cup final, which on the one hand is a long way away, but these Premier League teams play so many games. I know we say it about the EFL, but I'm trying to think who I was looking at the other day. Had played, maybe it was Liverpool, played 9 games in January or something ridiculous like that. Just play 2 a week every single week. I don't necessarily see Forest going there and winning. I quite like your 1-1, to be honest. I'll take Forest just because I'm enjoying them and I'm Mr. EFL, although Newcastle have been in the EFL reasonably recently, haven't they? I'll take Forest 1-0 then. They'll, I think they've lost back-to-back away games, Forest. I looked at this, and the last time they did that, they won 4 away games in a row after it. So they've had really good resilience this year, Forest. So I'll back them. And Mikey, we normally have this as our favourite game to predict of the season, Man City versus Liverpool. But it's kind of, with Man City's little drop-off this season, kind of not necessarily up there. As we're recording, it's Real Madrid, Man City tonight, and they're facing a goal deficit.
Yeah, and Liverpool Villa as well.
And Liverpool Villa as well. So it's a bit confusing. I might go for a scoring draw, but I don't know if you agree with me. There's kind of it felt like the most important game of the entire season that you absolutely couldn't lose. Whereas Liverpool are 16 points ahead of Man City. So as much as they're not going to want to go there and lose, a draw is not a disaster, a defeat's not a disaster because they've been so good. I will go for a 1-1, given both teams have got, big games and a seismic game really for Manchester City as well.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, Ben. I'm going to go for the 2-2. It's just very confusing, isn't it, with the Real Madrid and the Aston Villa games for us recording at this point. Liverpool, as you mentioned earlier, unimpressive in their win against Wolves, struggling to put one foot in front of the other was how you put it. And they've got some tough games ahead, Liverpool. I was thinking this is probably their hardest remaining game, but they've got some really tricky fixtures between now and the end of the season. It's not over if Arsenal can avoid falling apart in the next few weeks. But I think Liverpool will be very happy with a point here, and I'm backing them to do it.
There you go. Get involved in the comments. That's your round 26 predictions. Fixtures are down there. Copy and paste. Give yourself a point. Correct outcome. 3 points for a correct scoreline. 4 for a bonus. I think we've only got 2 here. Mikey's gone Bournemouth 4, Wolves 2. I've gone Southampton 1, Brighton 4. Get involved. Let us know in the comments what you're thinking about any of these games, particularly if you're heading off to one of them. And we will see you next week. We'll figure out what we're going to do because I think it's a double round. We may miss out the midweek and land on the end, or we may try and go quick fire and do 50 predictions in one go. But leave that with us. We will be back at some point, and I'll bid you a fond farewell until then.